Hey, what's up? This is Gary from Raz Rentals. Man, I was pretty happy today. Do you know why? Because when I came home from work today, there was a box on my stoop. And you know what was inside? This amazing Masters of the Universe Origins Wind Raider. This thing looks fantastic and it looks gigantic. Just for a quick comparison, here it is next to the original Wind Raider. And once I get this thing open, we'll take a closer look at everything. But like, this thing is just huge and it looks great. You know, I like all the new painted details and everything on here, but we'll talk about that more whenever I open it up. So first, let's talk about the packaging here, all right? Now, you have a very nice giant window here so you can see the Wind Raider inside. You know, it's unassembled, so there are some things you got to put together. And over here it says, includes hover display stand, which is pretty great. Now, we'll take a closer look at the artwork in a second, but if we turn it around here, there's this pretty awesome shot on the side here. And if you know the name of this vehicle, please let me know, because I'm unsure. I'm a huge, I know so much about Ninja Turtles and Thundercats and Ghostbusters that I just don't have the room to know all the mythology of He-Man and everything. You know, for me, I used to play with the He-Man toys as a kid. I watched the cartoon, but, you know, it never sunk in or something. I don't know. My favorite thing about He-Man is a toy. So if you know what this thing is, please let me know. So you have Man-at-Arms fighting Beast-Man and Merman here. On the back here, you have a pretty cool demonstration of the action feature on this thing. There's a button on here that will launch the grappling hook, and then you can wind back the winch, which will pull the grappling hook back into place. You can roll it. It's got wheels on the bottom, so you can roll it around. And over here, you have an adjustable hover stand inside of here so that you can attach it to the top of your Castle Grayskull. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a Castle Grayskull, so I can't show you that, which is a bummer. I'd love to show you that, but... All right, over here, you have Zodak, and that's the goddess. Whenever Teela is green and she's got the snake uniform on. So Zodak is fighting this guy who, I don't know who he is either. He looks like a gladiator. And this guy right here, this kind of frog guy, I thought maybe when I first saw it that maybe it was Cobra Khan, but it's some kind of frog guy. I don't know who he is. I apologize. To me, he looks like, what's his name, like Amphibious or something like that from the Savage Land in X-Men. So if you know the names of all these characters, please let me know. That will totally help me out. All right, so on the back here, you have some very amazing art here, right? So we'll start from the right and work our way to the left, all right? So first, you have this giant, awesome battle where you have He-Man, Teela, and Man-at-Arms fighting Skeletor in the background there. Skeletor's blasting some kind of energy beam with his Havoc staff. No, what's he shooting? I can't even see what that is. Is that a gun? I don't know. All right, you got Faker there, you have Beastman, you have that frog dude, and you have the gladiator guy. Over here, you have some kind of evil version of the Wind Raider that, if you know what that's supposed to be, please let me know that too. I'm dying to know. All right, so we move over to the left a little bit, and there's just this awesome shot here of the Wind Raider. I don't know who the artist is that works on these Masters of the Universe boxes, but this guy or gal does an amazing job. That looks really awesome. And over here, this Zodak looks pretty awesome too. I mean, Zodak's got this giant gun there. I mean, it kind of looks like the web store gun, but I don't know. It looks like more filled out on the bottom. All right, on the front here, you just have a very nice shot of He-Man riding the Wind Raider, and over here you have Skeletor and his evil army riding their evil Wind Raiders after He-Man. Over here, you have somebody on top of Castle Grayskull firing a missile or something like that. I couldn't tell who that was. I thought maybe that could have been Fisto or King Radnor, but I can't... Randor, I think his name is Randor. I always get mixed up. I can't make it out because he's too small. Over here, you have a different version of Stratos. And then over here you have these giants, and these giants look amazing in the clouds. So let's open this thing up and take a look at the toy inside. All right, so lots of times when I open up my toys, I like to use an X-Acto knife. You know, that just makes cutting the tape a lot easier. Or if you're trying to cut a bubble off of a card, it's very easy that way. That way you don't rip the front of your card all up. See how easy that was? That was very easy. So here it is, and apparently we have some assembly required here, right? This is a piece for the display, or yeah, the stand. Here you have a very awesome piece that's supposed to go, I guess, into the top of Castle Grayskull. That looks pretty great. You got some instructions. And I'm sure that this thing isn't too difficult to put together, right? Oh, geez, how do I click this into place? All right, so let's start pulling this thing off of here, and then we'll deal with the displays in a bit. X-Acto knives will also be easy because you can cut right through rubber bands. It's great for NECA toys, especially when you have like thousands of, you know, well, not thousands, but you know, it's an exaggeration. All right, let's see here. On the back here, you have these twisty things. These things are okay. You just twist it the one direction and you can pull it out. Oh. The grappling hook is still attached. Make sure you don't cut the wire. You know, that would be really silly. Alright, so if you have the old Wind Raider, I'm sure you know how to put this thing together. You know, it's not very hard. But we'll go over it just really quick, alright? There you go, there's your grappling hook. Alright, now here you got these two wings, right? Now, I didn't read the instructions because I'm a rebel, right? So I just figured I'd look at these. And I don't think that these are marked left or right. But I'll tell you how you can know which is which. Alright, if you look at the one side on them, one of them you'll see like little circles from, I guess, like the molds or whatever. And it'll be on the opposite side on the other one. It's these little circles. You see them? I don't know if you can make them out. It's kind of hard because it's yellow. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit. Alright, so I would assume that because you have these mold bits, these, you know, these problematic areas, they should be on the bottom. You know, you want to be looking down on this thing so that you don't see any of those little bits. And if you have this one on this side, you won't see them. And if you have this one on this side, you won't see them. So, oh my gosh. This thing is just huge. There's no ifs and there's no denying it. This thing is just gigantic, right? There you go. You got the that piece on the back now too. I mean, this thing is just gigantic. So, let's see. There you go. I gotta say, this is pretty awesome. And I'm gonna show you how this thing looks next to, you know, if you can fit the Masters of the Universe Classics figure inside of this thing too. Alright, so let's get right into the comparison here. Now look at this. This thing is gigantic. Look how much bigger it is than this thing. I can't believe that this was only 35 bucks, you know. You'd think that they would have charged you an arm and a leg for this thing, but it's huge. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much bigger than this thing is than this one. And it's supposed to sit somewhat similar scaled figures, you know. Which, that's why I think it's cool. You know, I'm going to see if the Origins or the Classics figure fits in this thing because it's so much bigger than this. Now, one thing I want to mention right off the bat, I love all the extra painted detail on this thing. You know, this looks great. I love all these little yellow highlights all over the place. I love that, I like that it actually has the seat inside of here. I think that seat is pretty amazing looking. You know, in here it's just completely open. It just, I don't know, it looks pretty awesome. You know, like this, in a lot of ways, this just kind of looks like a toy, and this one looks like an actual, like, toy of a, you know, a flying machine or something like that. Like, you know, it looks like there's so much more thought or something coming through this design. You know, like they fleshed everything out so much better. Yeah, it just looks fantastic. And like even the wings on this new one, I feel like they're so much better proportioned with this giant thing than the wings are on this one. I mean, these are kind of small. You know, this You have no firing mechanism. Whenever you wanted to use the grappling hook, you got to pull it off and just pull it out, and then, you know, same way you roll this thing back up and you just pop it on side or back in place. The rudder is pretty cool. You know, this back wing here. That's very nice. I also like how the stickers, like, I don't know, like this does look cool when you have a sticker this big that covers up this whole area, like the way that this bird is. But there's something very nice also about how clean this bird is in this spot. Like it fits in there very nice. In the back here, there is some pretty nice extra detail. You have these little like ridges going up and down this thing. You have some lights here. I assume they're lights on the back. That's pretty awesome. Even these like, you know, these jets or whatever that are, you know, blasting him forward, they just look a lot nicer on this. You know, there's so much more thought out, and I don't know. This thing is amazing. Like I can't, like I said, I'm going to see how this looks between the original Masters of the Universe toys, the Origins, and the classics. And, you know, I'm pretty excited to see how this will look across all three lines. For the sake of taking a closer look at these stickers, I decided to take the wings off. Now, here's the thing about the stickers. I think they all look cool. They kind of changed some of the shapes around a little bit. Like if you look over here, you have this blue on the left. On here, you have it on the right. But in general, a lot of the ones on stickers, like the designs on the side stickers, they all look very similar. They all look pretty much the same. There are things that I like about the original stickers more than this new one. Because they have more of like a painted look to them. So they look more realistic, where these just kind of look like, you know, a flat black line with a flat color inside of it. You know, it's, you know, it's not as cool, but, you know, it still looks good. I love that there are actual handles on here on this brand new Wind Raider. And these handles are kind of soft. So I would be kind of careful with that. Like you might be able to break them. Now, if you look inside of here, you can see that like connecting piece. Whenever I opened this thing and pulled it out, it was like that thing I turned. You can see that inside of there, which, you know, I mean, I guess that could be a little annoying if you don't like that, but it also might not be that big of a deal because like how often are you going to be staring inside of this? I also like how the texture on the floor in there kind of looks like sheet metal or something. That is pretty awesome. You know, like I can't really think of anything negative to say about this thing yet. Like, so you have these details here. Like you have all these plates on top of the front here, and they all look pretty much the exact same as the plates on the original one. But I like that they actually added like bolts on top of here. So they actually look like they're bolted into place. You have these new yellow cylinders here, which is pretty cool. That's how they're hiding in there, you know, your button to shoot the grappling hook. That's pretty cool. I like the new grappling hook a lot more because it, you know, I think it looks a little better. It's a little nicer of a design, I think. And I do like how all the designs on this horse head here are very sharp. Like this one, sometimes this could be a little like soft, to where like you were kind of like what is that? It looks like a horse with like exhausts coming out of its face. Is that what it's supposed to be? I don't know. But yeah, just everything about this just looks fantastic. I like this a lot. If you take a look at the bottom, the original Wind Raider didn't have any designs on the bottom. Like there's nothing there, right? So you just got your three wheels. Gotta learn how to count here. But if you look at this, like look at all this awesome detail here. Like you have like this cool design here, which kind of looks like you know, something that energy or air would come out of that would cause him to propel upward like this. Yeah, it looks awesome. I like this cool little vent thing down here, and I really like these see-through wheels. That's pretty cool. And just all these other designs are just very nice. This thing is very nicely put together. Now, you are missing a sticker here, though. The original one has a sticker here and no sticker there. But I think you can get over that because I'd take a bunch of brand new cool-looking detail over a yellow and red sticker any day of the week. Here's my thoughts on the color. The brand new one, the green, is more of like an army green, I guess. Like when you were a kid, you'd have like your little camouflage army green suit or whatever that you'd run around in, and that kind of reminds me of this green. This green is much more of a subdued, like almost like bluish green. You know, like just kind of a tad like heading off in the blue. And then this orange is bright, but it's pretty close to this, and this is just like a darker, more subdued orange. Color wise, I'm not sure which I prefer. I might prefer the old one. Maybe because it's not as stark or something like that. The contrast isn't as heavy-handed. I don't know. All right, so I should mention this now because now's as good a time as any, right? The original Wind Raider came out in 1982, and this brand new one just came out in 2021. That's almost 40 years. That's crazy. This thing's older than me by 2 years. So, when you put your He-Man in your old Wind Raider, he sat in there pretty good. He fit. No complaints. That's good. You didn't necessarily need that seat back there because you couldn't really see anything behind him anyways. Oh, come on, He-Man, you're stuck. All right, I got him out. This is why I didn't want to put my regular He-Man in there, because I didn't want to mess him up. This is my beaten up battle armor He-Man. So, all right, you put him in there and he fits. He might fit a little too well. You can see that I put him in there and he was slipping down. So you're probably going to have to line him up so that his hands are pushing down on the sides here, so he won't continue to fall down there. Because if you put his hands up and you sit him in, he's just going to keep on sliding down that seat. Right? Let's see. He's not going to ride and have his weapons out. So he actually sits pretty well. These... Oh my gosh, I can't believe I broke him. These Origins figures, they don't sit the best. They kind of like hover above the seat a little bit. It's kind of hard because you can't get them to like rotate their legs up far enough, and the fronts of them don't rotate the right way. Like it's just difficult to get them to seat or to sit in a way that will appropriately fit inside of this vehicle. So he may hover above the seat once I get him in there. Man. All right. So it is a little tricky getting him to sit in there appropriately. He does want to continue to slide in front of him, and lining up the hands is a little tricky too. But you can try. Alright, so this is the best that I could get him in the time that I have, right? Like I said before, he is hovering above the seat. Not to mention his harness here is like stopping him from sitting completely back in that seat. So that's kind of a bummer. It looks like he's like, doing squats as he's riding this thing around. Maybe he's trying to exercise a little bit before he gets into his fight with Skeletor. He doesn't want to waste any time at all. Like, he always wants to be working out to, keep these muscles gigantic. I think maybe that's the reason for it. So, like, you can line it up where his hands do fit over there. And if you have the other gripping hand from the Battle Armor He-Man, you probably, you can have him grip onto both of them. So that's pretty cool. And he just looks cool sitting in this thing, I like it. Like I said, I think this is cool. And I don't understand why these... I mean, I do understand it's because, like I said, they have not the best hip articulation, but I wish that they would maybe develop some of these vehicles so that they could actually sit in them appropriately. I had the same problem with the Land Shark, where he just, they cannot sit flush down on the seat, All right, now we have one more to check out. The Classics version of He-Man. How does he sit in this thing? Very well, actually. He can sit in this thing like... Now, here's the thing, right? Here's some of my ignorance, because I don't have many of the Classics figure. Is this Wind Raider the same as the Classics Wind Raider? I have no idea. If you know, and if I've been talking like, like a moron this whole time, let me know. Because this thing almost looks like it's made for him. It's perfect. That looks fantastic. And this is the Ultimates version of He-Man, the Super 7 one. I don't have the original one. But that looks great too. So this thing would work perfectly for all your for all of your Classics figures. So if you want to get multiple Wind Raiders and you don't want to pay however much it costs to buy the Classics version, buy this. This would be great. If you saw my Landshark review, you probably know that I couldn't get Skeletor to sit down correctly inside of it, but I have seen a review where somebody did a pretty decent job. There are some things about the Origins line that I kind of think why is Mattel doing it that way? But these things, I'm like, Mattel is like killing it with these vehicles. These look amazing. They look great, and they look great for, at least 3 different types of Masters of the Universe lines. Look at He-Man sitting here. You saw I put the Origins figure in there. He looked pretty good. And even the original one from back in the 80s. If you were wondering, how powerful is that projectile? How good is the grappling hook? Will it knock over Skeletor and all of his enemies? Well, let's find out. I mean, it knocked him over, just barely, but it's pretty good. This works out well. So one more thing before I go, and let's take a look at the stand. Now, I will say this. I kind of wish that there was some kind of mechanism in here that would stop this from moving, like a kickstand or something like that, because it has been drifting on my table. So let's take a look. You got this piece right here, and I think maybe this is bigger than the stand for the Sky Sled. Like, this definitely looks bigger. I have to take a look at that. But you have different shapes on the side here, so you can fit this in here the correct way. Let's see. Ooh, clicked right into place. All right, so this piece right here, this is the piece that will, you can take this and either put it into this green stand here, or you can actually put it onto the top of Castle Grayskull. So this is the piece. And it'll just keep on going back and forth, however you want. Let's get the bottom here. So you got this cool computer screen. You have a bar going across here so it fits in here a certain way. 2 clicks. There you go. All right, so you got a little circle here and you got a circle here. Line them up. That went in pretty easily. It's probably not too tight, so you can keep on taking this out and putting it in Castle Grayskull if you want to. That's awesome. Speaking of the Sky Sled, here you can see that, yes, this part is definitely a lot bigger than this one over here. And, I mean, just look at this. This is fantastic. This is just amazing. I remember a while back, people were speculating whether or not Mattel was going to cancel the Masters of the Universe Origins line because they thought, well, if Revelations is out, they got to cancel Origins because that'll create brand confusion or something like that. That would be the dumbest thing ever. Like, this line is amazing. It has a huge, positive fan reaction for most of these items, and, they just keep on outdoing themselves. Like, this Wind Raider, is might be my favorite vehicle so far. This and the Landshark are just awesome looking. And, I hope that this line lasts very, very long. When I get my Castle Grayskull, I'll finally be happy. And, I can't wait to see what other vehicles, come out next. They got to start moving on this thing. Like what's after Wave 6 and, Mosquito and all that kind of stuff. I need to know what's Wave 7 and what the next vehicles are. Now! This reminds me when the Joker squared off against the Batplane in Batman 89. So, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and talk to you later.